Bethea and Haddock here for Thick Out Comics, joined by
Your boy William Bethea.
Today we're going to be talking about this week's release of the latest X-Men titles and their tie-ins to the Ten of Swords.
Oh yeah.
We have Marauders 15, which is part 14. We have EXCalibur 14, which is part 15. And finally, Wolverine 7, which is part 16. So let's start it off with Marauders 15, which is probably one of the most ridiculous covers I've seen in a very, very long time. You have the X-Men passed out at a table with what appears to be some kind of white sauce on their face and hair.
Okay, so
Never thought I'd say that.
It's a very interesting cover. Okay, it's an interesting cover. I think there is things that are being, I guess, portrayed in the cover that is not all that in the book. You know, it's an interesting cover of just people being very intoxicated.
That's one positive way of looking at it. But let's move on to the book.
Yes.
So we pick up where we see, in the last issue, we see Wolverine stab Saturnine.
Yep.
And it turns out that's all a joke. It's all a vision.
Yes.
But she knew what he was going to do.
Yes. She's been ahead of the game the whole time. We've seen her actually break into the thoughts of Betsy Braddock early in episodes. We've also seen her manipulate time and reality there. So what we know is she's very powerful there on that stage, and Wolverine was crazy to even try it. Now we see in the titles opening, not only do we lose, or the mutants lose, the world loses.
Yes.
So she gives him a very dire picture of what would happen if he would have killed her. I think that was necessary.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I can summarize this book is, Enter the Dragon, Mortal Kombat, that like feast before they go into the tournament.
Oh yeah.
And this book shows you where all the stakes are. If the mutants lose, like you said, the entire world loses. Yep. We get kind of more insight in some of the characters that they're going to be fighting.
Yep.
Where they're coming from with not their backstory, but where some of their motivations are.
Oh yeah.
In those regards, but that's really all this book really does. It's more of a outlook of like, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. This is where everybody's at. This is how everybody feels about everybody.
Yes.
This is where everybody's lines are drawn in the sand. Get ready for the next day.
Yes. But what we do clear up, and I think it's key in this book, is we clear up not only what the true feelings are between Apocalypse and Genesis.
Yes.
We also get an understanding of how everybody does not like everybody in here, especially on the Arcoa side. We find that the Araco side, we find out there is a lot of deep hatred on that side, and it's going to play out. I think this book was perfect. I think it gave us enough information about what was going to go down, and it also showed us not just how powerful Saturnine is in this realm, but how powerful Jim Jaspers is in this realm.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I really like this book. Like I said before, it's a setup book. I think another thing to look out for, since you brought it up, the Krakoans a lot of them hate each other too. Mm-hmm. They're like blaming Wolverine for a bunch of stuff. And, Apocalypse is looking down on Cable. It's just a lot of pettiness between all of them.
But if you look at it, it's the mutants already know each other so well, so it's not as bad as it is with the.
That's a good point.
Arcon, the Oracle. So yeah.
So next, let's go to part 15, EXCalibur.
Yes.
This was an interesting book.
Oh, this tale of two books.
And this one throws a lot at you.
Oh yeah.
You see the first battle between Betsy and the mutant who can't be beat.
Yes.
And we see her lose.
Well, okay, so we see Betsy lose, and we see Betsy lose in a way. I think her name is Asha.
Mm-hmm.
Asha, but all she did was break her sword, which the sword shouldn't have been broken. So this is another manipulation by Saturnine. We see Saturnine, she is actually dictating the rules and how the game is going to be fought and how it's going to be lost in her way. So I don't even put value in the deaths of these people because it's all manipulated by Saturnine. I think what we see in this book, in this one, is clearly how well she's manipulating things, how she feels about the mutants fighting one another, and she's going to dictate how this is going to turn out. So even the point scales, everything in this is about Saturnine and what she's manipulating.
Yeah, and it's important to remember too with how this book is being played. Saturnine is setting up each match in her favor. So it's not a fight.
No,
she's going into these fights very differently. I mean, here we see Cypher marrying the Blood Moon, and that's the battle that he accepts this person as a bride, and so does Blood Moon. So both Krakoa and Ikaruga get a point.
Yeah,
like that was the battle.
Yep.
So it's very different from what I feel like I was anticipating. And normally I'd be like, oh my goodness, I wanted a tournament. I'm not getting a tournament.
Yeah.
I think this works.
Oh,
this is really
cool.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, okay, where are these characters going from here? What's the next step? With these matches, because nobody's fighting. I mean, the whole book has been building you up to these Mortal Kombat death matches, and that's not what we're getting. We're getting something completely different.
Yes.
And I think maybe these matches have something to do to see like how both the XMen and the Ikarugas like deal with each other, like how they're able to put aside their differences and like move forward. I mean, I don't know if Saturnine is a complete bad like a bad villain.
Yeah.
Or if she's just trying to set the tone to like maybe bring these worlds together, or like do something, see like how much she can get away with each character. Because I don't think I really think at the end of this it's going to be like a holy shit moment.
Yes. Hey, look, I am in firm agreement with you. And matter of fact, in this book, they even brought up how they are two halves from the same world. Yeah. It's like, okay, you're bringing references to, these are all mutants.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then understand that, well, not everybody's a mutant, but they all come from the same line. And the issue here is, hey, with Morgan Le Fay gone, now Saturnine is pushing Otherworld to another level.
Exactly. She's trying to really heighten her world up and make it something, maybe as powerful as Krakoa, because I mean, think about it. Like these XMen now are basically immortal. Mm-hmm. They've gotten rid of every single problem that they could ever face when it comes to evolution. Like they're in control of how they evolve and everything. Yep. And I think she's trying to get her people to that level too, or at least the people that she's over somewhat to that level that keeps her in power.
Yeah. I'm thinking this is definitely going to be oh boy.
And I think by next week, I think more of the X-Men are going to be coming into the fold here.
Yes,
because we're really starting to see how these Ten of Sword fighters don't really mean anything.
Yes,
that they're just placeholders, and they're there for Saturnine's own entertainment. Because
both
of the fighters, they're not really fighting; they're just doing their own thing, and they're kind of just along for the ride.
Hey, we're definitely seeing that.
But EXCalibur 14, I enjoyed it. It was a good book.
Oh, great!
It was really fun. It was totally different. I think it fits this Ten of Swords wacky funness that is very unpredictable, and I think it delivers in storytelling in a way that we haven't really seen with the X-Men.
Yes,
and especially with a big event like this, these books have really done a good job at making each one feel unique and tie them all together. EXCalibur 14 did that very well, and what was it, Marauders 15 did
yep.
it just as well. And the next book, Wolverine 7,
Whew.
I think really continued that. And
That got bloody.
I would say this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like the idea of they start out with magic.
Yep.
She loses to that giant crocodile, Oog Power, or whatever you say his name, to an arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
And once again, it goes back to what you were saying. Outsider 9 is dictating every single match, and she's changing it. Like, it was going to be the Soul Sword versus his.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no swords. Yeah.
okay, so Magic doesn't have her power. She doesn't have her sword. Now it's an arm wrestling against this. She gets crushed.
Yep.
Right out the gate. And then the next match is between the Black Summoner and Wolverine, and it's a fight to the death.
But what made that even crazier is it actually didn't even. It was Wolverine against Storm, and the Black Summoner against I think her name is War.
Yeah, well, that happens after the fight because he beats the Black Summoner.
But the thing is, he beats her because my man said that, yo, I'm not gonna fight. Wolverine's gonna fight because he had the sword.
Yeah.
So,
because he kills the summoner, and then he gets teleported to Solomon versus War.
Yeah.
And then he finds out that she kills his son, and then they go for it. But that whole the storyline with him and Storm was really good too.
Yeah, and I found that crazy because like it's team going against team.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And now, you know what I'm saying, that fight with Summer, that was crazy because it dealt with like the alternate reality. They couldn't like stand properly, and he finally killed him, and then he lost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that he won, and he still lost.
Yeah, and you brought it up before. Saturnines, she's wording everything very, very particular. She's like, oh, well, the Summoner won because he fought to the death.
Yeah.
He died. So he won.
Yeah.
And then when he fights, what was it, War?
War.
He ends up losing that too. So it's like, what is the Wolverine going to do? Like, how are these people going to... They cannot win, no matter what. They've only... The final score at the end of the last page of this book is Iroquois 5, Krakoa 2.
Yep.
So, what are we doing here?
Hey, I think it's definitely well worth the read. This is definitely changing, not just changing the game, but it's actually bringing relevance to all those books that you can find in your dollar bin on EXCalibur, and like you say, wow, this is actually being applied in the Ten of Swords. It's actually being pushed. And EXCalibur is hey look, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, I mean Wolverine was great. I enjoyed EXCalibur. Yep. I enjoyed Marauders. I mean, the only ones that I would pick out of this normally would just be Marauders and Wolverine. I stopped reading EXCalibur a long time ago. So I'm getting to see different mutants and read about different characters I normally wouldn't have as a regular new X-Men reader for this new incarnation of them. But overall, man, I can't really complain about Ten of Swords. It's provided me something new. It keeps me guessing.
Oh, yeah.
It's really great entertainment. I like the characters. I'm familiar with most of them. Yep. And every week, I feel like we're getting really good content that's continuing the story as opposed to, some other things like death metal and some other stuff that's just like recycling the same things. I feel like this is something completely new. And if you want that entertainment aspect from it, this is what you need to be reading.
Yo, gotta get it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, we really enjoyed these books. We'd love to hear what you have to say. This Ten of Swords has been really awesome for us. I'm really curious to what you guys think out there. As always, guys, be safe. Thanks.
Peace.